Hello again. How are you today? Welcome to class number 1132. I never dreamed I would give so many English classes on television, but I started giving English classes on television in 2006, 2005 maybe 2000. I first started in Popular TV, ahora es Canal 13. I remember. Yeah. Ha llovido. Mucho. Yeah, it's been a long time, 25 years, 19 or 20 years doing television. And I'm still doing television. And you can go to YouTube and you can find me from 15 years ago. You can look at, uy, como envejecido. Wow, he's getting older. He's getting older. But the same energy, right? The same energy. Why not? Energía y humildad. Energy and humility, those are the two most important elements in success in life. Energy and humility, la humildad, como capacidad de autoanálisis y introspección. It's humility. Los soberbios son ciegos. Es la ceguera total, la soberbia. La humildad es visión perfecta. Y luego si tienes energía, ¡pam! El mundo es tuyo. The world is yours, right, Marta? I guess sí, Marta está de acuerdo. Además, she's building an incredible business on photography. She's the best children's photographer in Spain. Yeah, a little bit of advertising, but it's true. It's true. 1132. Natasha Zarakovich, Vaughan World. Esos libros, eh? Natasha Zarakovich. Page 42. Page 42. If you remember, Natasha Zarakovich lives in Moscow. She's Russian. She lives with her mother, who is a widow, and her younger brother in a small apartment near Gorky Park. Gorky Park is a very famous park in Moscow. And 3 subway stops. Every morning she goes to work in the Russian National Laboratory that analyzes pharmaceutical products and gives authorization, approval to pharmaceutical products. She's a chemist. She goes home for lunch at 12. She spends an hour and a half for lunch and she goes back. She finishes work at 4 o'clock. And usually after she finishes work, she goes to the National Library, Biblioteca Nacional, to the National Library, which is relatively near the laboratory. And she reads and studies. She's preparing to take an English examination. And if she passes it, an official exam, state exam, examen estatal, and if she passes it, she automatically receives an increase in her salary. She will automatically receive a raise in her salary. Okay, it's very bureaucratic. She works for the Russian state. All right. Sometimes, maybe once or twice a month, her boss, Gregory, calls her, and he needs her help after 4 o'clock. So she works overtime, sometimes. Overtime is hacer horas extra, trabajar más allá de la jornada, to work overtime. But she doesn't get paid for this. She does it because Gregory needs help. Her boss needs help. Okay. Page 42. Last night, Natasha had a big surprise. Last night, Natasha had a big surprise. Fijaos cómo pronuncio surprise. No digo surprise, surprise, no. Surprise. Suppose, soft, surprise, somebody, some surprise, alguna sorpresa, some surprise. Mismo sonido fonético, surprise. La R en medio ni suena. Surprise. Si dices surprise, no problem. I say, and native people in general say surprise. Surprise, a surprise party. Fiesta sorpresa, a surprise party. Last night, Natasha had a big surprise. Yesterday was her birthday. Oh, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. All right. Yesterday was her birthday, and she thought that nobody at the laboratory knew. No lo sabe nadie aquí. Es muy discretita. Yeah. Yesterday was her birthday, and she thought that nobody at the laboratory knew. Fijaos, en español diría knew it, que nadie lo sabía. Pero en inglés no. Ella pensaba que nadie sabía. En inglés no lo sé. ¿Cómo se llama el marido de Marta? Pues no lo sé. En inglés no. ¿Cómo se llama el marido de Marta? No sé. I don't know. No se dice I don't know it. Okay? Pero sí se llama Javi, ¿no? All right. I know. Javier. All right. And so I've never met Javi. Have I met Javi? No. I've never met Javi, no. Okay. Have I met Victor? Tampoco. No. I've seen 500 pictures of Victor. Fotos. But I haven't met him. All right, good. Yesterday was Natasha's birthday, and she thought that nobody at the laboratory knew. She didn't want to tell them. No se lo puedo decir. She didn't want to tell them. No quería decírselo. She didn't want to tell them. Claro, en inglés no quería decirles. En español decís decirleslo, o sea, decírselo. Yeah, she didn't want to tell them. Why? Because Russian people always bring a lot of food to the office to celebrate. But here in Spain it's different. If it's my birthday, I bring things. But in Russia and in the United States, if it's my birthday, people bring things. You see. No pago nada, pagan los demás. Yo no financio nada. And in Russia, it's similar to the United States. So, she didn't want to tell them because Russian people always bring a lot of food to the office to celebrate. And Natasha was on a strict diet. Natasha was on, pasado simple, estaba de régimen. Natasha was on a strict diet. Okay. But she didn't remember that her boss, Gregory, was going out with one of her best friends. Su jefe salía con una de sus mejores amigas. Okay, salían juntos. But she didn't remember that her boss, Gregory, was going out a lot, salía mucho, with one of her best friends, Karina. Gregory and Karina had lunch together yesterday. And Karina told him that it was Natasha's birthday. At 4:20, 10 minutes, 4:30, no es 4. At 4:20, 10 minutes before Natasha was planning to go to the National Library, as she does every day, Gregory called her on the phone and asked her to help him with a report he was trying to finish before 5:30. Yeah, he called her. Natasha, listen, I'm trying to finish a report. I need to send it before 5:30. I need some help. Can you come up? Subir a su despacho. Can you come up and help me? I need some help. So, all right. So, she thought this was strange. Qué extraño. Okay. Because Gregory didn't usually ask her to work late. At 4:30, she went to his office on the 3rd floor. Ahí está subiendo la escalera. All right. She's going up to Gregory's office on the 3rd floor. All right. On the 3rd floor, donde estoy? I've lost my place. When she got there, fijaos, get como llegará. When she got there were 10 people with cakes and tea. Pastas y té. Cakes and tea. Chai, como dicen en ruso. Un poco de chai. Una taza de chai. With cakes and tea waiting to celebrate her birthday. Then Gregory invited all of them to a nightclub in the center of Moscow where there was good vodka and a gypsy group that played folk music. Un grupo de gitanos que tocaban música folk ruso, okay? Russian folk music. Vodka, a shot, we say a shot, un disparo. Bam! A shot of vodka. So, then Gregory invited all of them, los 10 más Natasha. He invited all of them to a nightclub in the center of Moscow. Yes, where there was good vodka and a gypsy group that played folk music. They stayed at the nightclub eating, drinking, and dancing until 10:30. Bueno, aquí en Madrid eso sería el inicio. Pero es entre semana, Ojo. This is during the week, This is not Friday. All right. Natasha got home at 11. She talked to her mother for a few minutes and then went to bed because she had to get up early this morning to go to the laboratory. She was glad that today was Friday. Okay, so this happened on Thursday. On Thursday, she went to work. It was her birthday. She didn't say anything to anyone. She didn't tell anyone. She didn't want to tell anyone that it was her birthday because Russian people have the habit or the custom of celebrating with food and drink, etc., in the office. And Natasha's a little bit shy. Es un poco tímida. Yes. However, she didn't remember that her boss, Gregory, was going out with one of her best friends, Karina. And yesterday, on Wednesday, Karina and Gregory had lunch together. And Karina said, "Oh, by the way, Gregory, your Natasha's birthday is tomorrow, by the way." "Oh, really?" "Yeah." Okay. Thanks for telling me." And Gregory told other people, and they prepared a celebration. And so at 4:20, 10 minutes before Natasha was planning to leave and go to the National Library, Gregory called her and said, "Excuse me, Natasha, listen, I'm trying to finish a report and I need your help. I need to finish it by 5:30. Would you mind coming up and helping me with a few details?" And Natasha thought this was strange because usually Gregory didn't ask her to work overtime or to stay beyond 4:30. So she went up to his office, and when she opened the door, there were 10 people. Surprise! It's a birthday party. And so they had cakes and tea. Tea, because later vodka. All right. And then Gregory said, "Okay, everybody, let's go." "Where?" "Let's go down to the nightclub." All right. Where they have good vodka and a famous gypsy group that plays Russian folk music. And they stayed there eating, drinking, and dancing until 10:30. This was a Thursday night. And Natasha left. She went home. She got home at 11. She sat down and talked to her mother for a few minutes, and then she went to bed. Because she had to get up early. She starts, I think, at 7:30 in the morning. She starts very early in the morning. And so she went to bed. So that was the story of Natasha Zarakovich. But she said she was glad that today was Friday. Yeah, Friday. Thank God it's Friday. TGIF. Hay un restaurante que se llama Friday. ¿Lo conoces? ¿Sabes por qué? Okay. This restaurant started in 1967, I believe. About 60 years ago. Okay. And it was called TGI Friday. TGI Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Gracias a Dios que es viernes. O sea, viernes. Thank God it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. TGI Friday. Because in English, we say TGIF. Decimos hasta las letritas, las siglas. TGIF. TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. Gracias a Dios que estamos ya en viernes. Thank God it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Why? Because this restaurant chain decided to make Thursday evening a popular moment. Restaurants in the United States and here, restaurants during the week do business for lunch, but not for dinner. Lunch, for example, good restaurants, popular restaurants, have for lunch and dinner on Saturday, but lunch on Sunday. Because dinner on Sunday, people need to get up early on Monday. And so the only evenings in which dinner, there are only 2 good days, Friday and Saturday, for dinner in the cities. Normally, business lunches and people go to restaurants for lunch, but they don't go for dinner during the week because they need to get up the following morning and work. So TGI Fridays decided to make Thursday evening a popular moment in order to celebrate the fact that the following day is Friday. So Thursday was the big night, la noche de jueves in TGI in Fridays in the United States. And so they added 3 profitable evenings in their restaurant, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. All right. Fridays, thank God it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. So we have the story of Natasha Zarakovich. What's going to happen to Natasha later? Well, she's going to go to Scotland, to Glasgow, to Edinburgh, to London, and other places. An interesting life. How much time, Marta? Okay. I have a friend. Tengo un amigo que español, que habla inglés, un inglés súper macarrónico, pero a 100 por hora y sin va. And he says planification, for example. Para planificación no existe planification. Planning. He says the planification, and he always says after. Y siempre dice after. Mira, primero vamos al restaurante y después a un sitio donde te quiero que conozcas. And after. And I say, Javier, también tocayo de tu marido. My God, no. After, no. The problem is, we're working together on a project. And one of the members of the project is from Switzerland. And he doesn't speak Spanish. So all of the communication and all of the conversations are in English. The fellow in Switzerland speaks more or less good English, with a German accent. But Javier, he destroys. I have to go para limpiar el suelo de los trozos de mi idioma que deja. Okay, hay un vertedero de errores en inglés. All right. And probably the most common error, the most common mistake is after. Pero se entiende, claro. We have lunch and after we go to there and then after. No! And then. Okay? And then es y después, y después, y después, y después. Claro, after significa después de, no significa después. Después de. Entonces, primero voy a ir a la playa, después de voy al restaurante, después de voy a ir, así suena, así dices after. After the class, después de la clase, eso sí. After the class, después de la clase. Después de la clase voy al bar y después al restaurante. After the class, I'm going to the bar and then to the restaurant. The most famous trip I made in my life, the most famous trip I took in my life was a vacation. Well, vacation. It was a long trip during Christmas, 1972, 1973, the Christmas season. First, I hitchhiked from Madrid to Barcelona. And then I took a ship, a ferry from Barcelona to Genoa in Italy. And then I hitchhiked from Genoa to Pisa. And then I hitchhiked from Pisa to Florence. And then I took a bus to Assisi, St. Francis of Assisi. And then I took a bus to Perugia. And then I hitchhiked to Rome. And then I hitchhiked to Naples. And then I took a train to Brindisi. And then I took a ferry to Ioumenitsa in Greece. And then I took a bus to Ioannina in El Pindo, oeste de Grecia, there. And then I took a bus to Metsuvin. And then I took another bus to Meteora. And then I went to Delphi, in English, Delphi. And then from Delphi, I went to Athens. And then to Mykonos. And then back to Athens. And then to Tel Aviv. And then to Jerusalem. And then to Jericho. And then to the Sea of Galilee. And then to the Dead Sea, El Mar Muerto. And then to Haifa. And then to Tel Aviv. And then to Istanbul by plane. And then I took a plane to Istanbul. And then from Istanbul, I went to Sofia. See, it is Sofia, no Sofia, capital of Bulgaria. I went to Sofia. And then to Belgrade, Yugoslavia, today Serbia. And then from Belgrade, I took a train to Milan. How much time? Do we have time? And then, when I got to Milan, it's strange, I was so hungry. I was tired. I was hungry. I was alone now. I was alone. And I went to in the train station, I went to the bar in the morning. It was the morning, and I ordered a cappuccino. I finished. I said, do a cappuccini. I said, the second one. I drank 2 cappuccinos. And then what did I do? Well, then I walked around the center of Milan for 30 minutes, and then I walked a long time to the outskirts, La Salida, and I hitchhiked from Milan to Genoa, otra vez en Genoa, to Genoa. And then I decided not to hitchhike, and then I caught a train. And I went by train from Genoa to Barcelona, passing through Nice, Monte Carlo, Nice, Cannes, Marseille, Perpignan, of course, etc. Girona, down to Barcelona. And then I hitchhiked from Barcelona to Lérida. But it was very difficult. And then in Lérida, I caught a train. Lérida, Zaragoza, Guadalajara, Madrid. And so I came back to Madrid. And then what did you do when you got to Madrid? And then, this was the 31st of January, 1973. I remember perfectly. I arrived on the last day of January, 1973. 6 weeks before, on the 19th of December, I left Madrid to go to Barcelona, Genoa, etc. And then, when I got to Chamartín station, En aquel entonces los iban a chamartín, los de Zaragoza, not to Atocha. And I remember. And then I caught a taxi, and I said to the taxi driver, take me to a pension in the centro of Madrid. No sabía cuál. Lléveme a una pensión en el centro de Madrid, al taxista. And he drove and he took me to Calle de la Luna, Pensión Gracia, regentada por la famosa Gracia Triana, cantadora, sevillana, de Barrio La Triana. All right. And I stayed there for 4 days or 5 days. And later, 2 years later, otra vez, I stayed there again 2 years later in Pensión Gracia. And then, y después, y luego, and then. Así le decimos en inglés. And then, see you tomorrow.